Today we're going to take a look at the Melodious Mermaid, Ariel. Ariel does a lot of things well that most of the cast doesn't. She can heal, she draws a lot of cards, she removes status effects. Her versatility is impressive, but comes with a cost. She has several different types of cards, so her turns can each look different. Stick around and we'll talk about what things are more consistent than others for her. It's time for Ariel to face the music, so let's check out her character card. Like most characters, Ariel can move 2 spaces, provide a hand size of 2, and hit for 2 damage. Ariel's health points stand at a respectable 8, and her victory points are tied for the least with 4. She's very similar to Mickey in that way. Anyone with 4 VP should be less of a target. Ariel loves to dig for thingamabobs. She reveals the top card of her deck and then makes a choice. She either can draw it if it's an Ariel card, discard it for 1 character to gain an HP, or she can put it back. Now, it's obviously a benefit to draw an Ariel card, but let's talk about the double benefit that comes from option 2. Discarding a card not only allows you to heal your team slightly, it also gets you closer to upgrading your characters by discarding the gears that you need. Not only that, but you can get rid of cards you don't need so that you can find the ones you want quicker. There's no good reason to neglect this skill, even if it ends with putting the card back. Ariel also brings with her a healing tide. The first time that any character recovers HP on her turn, choose a character to gain an HP. This works well in combination with her skill to create a mini engine. If you choose to discard more than not, you can essentially heal for 2 every turn, which should negate a standard attack. Healing is rare, and consistent healing is even more rare. Take advantage of this to save your teammates and make things more difficult for your opponent. So, let's go through Ariel's cards and break it down a little further. I'll be going from most common to least common, as some cards appear in the deck multiple times. Ariel's unique in that she has 1 card that appears 3 times, but all of the others only appear once. Her 3-pronged card is the Trident Strike. It does 2 damage to an adjacent rival. Then, it reveals the next card in her deck. If that card is an attack, it does an additional damage to each rival adjacent to that rival. If your opponent groups together, hit them with this for up to 4 damage. Otherwise, this is a good card to use for boosting standard attacks. The next 7 cards only have 1 copy each, so buckle up. Don't get caught in Ariel's undercurrent. It has no range and allows Ariel to remove all status effects from a character. You can also discard an action card to remove all status effects from 2 characters. This card is heavily dependent on whether status effects are having an impact on the game, but if they are, it can change the entire complexion of the match. There are very few ways to remove entire status effects, and even fewer that remove them from other characters. Use this to eliminate any of the status effects that are causing you trouble, whether it's taunt, tough, immobilized, or something else. Say goodbye to those brooms, Mickey. Ariel continues to search for her complete collection. This gives you 2 cards, but if you discard an action card, it gives you 4 cards instead. Sometimes you can fall behind, and your hand size gets small, whether you're being aggressive or if you've been forced to banish cards. Complete collection allows you to catch back up in exchange for doing damage. It's also good for quickly getting to the cards that you need, even if you have a decent hand. Courageous Spirit deals 3 damage to a rival. If you discard another action card, their summoner loses a VP. The damage works, but taking a VP away from someone can hurt, especially late game when you're trying to figure out how to get to 20. Be careful though, if your opponent doesn't have VP yet, then it doesn't take VP away. You can't have negative VP. I consider this the most offensively impactful card she has. Curative Bubbles heals Ariel or an adjacent character for 4 HP. 4 HP is substantial. It's more than half of some characters' health and worth 2 standard attacks. It's the most substantial, versatile heal. Make sure to save this for when you can save someone's life or keep someone out of danger. When Ariel's riding high on the swift seas, she can move up to 4 spaces. The impact here is fairly straightforward, and it's likely to get you right where you need to go. Just know that it's her only movement card. Ariel can send driving waves from under the sea. Man, it was really hard to not sing that. Those waves do 3 damage, but if you reveal an attack card, you can move that rival up to 2 spaces. This is useful for getting people off of VP spaces, into range for certain attacks, or away from your vulnerable allies. However, if that's not useful for you, feel free to discard it for boosting a standard attack. They say music is a great way to heal. That's especially true for Ariel's medicinal melody. It has no range and heals her allies for 2, but if you discard an action card, it heals them for 3. It doesn't heal Ariel, but giving her allies a chance is helpful because they're more likely to be targeted than Ariel. I have been in games where a well-timed melody completely disrupted my strategy. So, what kind of song is Ariel singing in this game? Apparently a medley, because she can do tons of different things. Moving characters, healing, drawing cards, status removal, taking VP. She can do it all, just not on demand. Really, she has so many tools that she can use. Can is the operative word though, because most of these things each happen on separate cards, which makes things inconsistent for her. Ariel's the type of character that can vary wildly from most of her games except in one important way. She can consistently heal and draw or discard cards, so keep that in mind when she's on your team. If there's a specific threat that she can work on, save the card for it. Otherwise, take advantage of her ability to go through the deck quickly and provide incremental healing to the team. They are important and relevant roles that no one else in the core set can fill, all for a 4 VP character. You may think that she's weaker and needs to be protected from being in the action, but I'd propose the opposite. If Ariel is taking damage, that means another, likely higher VP, character is not. So, consider that a victory and let Ariel get to work. Speaking of work, Ariel is a potential counter to many plans. She either has a skill or a tool to counter almost any strategy in the game. You may not be able to reach it quickly, but that's why she has the tools to draw cards. If you can anticipate the ways that your opponent will strike, she can become your best option to stop the bleeding before things get worse for your team. She's an easy character to use, but also has the potential for high-level play. Definitely worth using early as a beginner. Ariel's strengths lie in her consistent healing. No one else can heal their teammates like she can. She can quickly work through the deck to find cards that you need and to replenish your hand. She truly has tools to counter every situation. Which is also a good place to start with her weaknesses. Her inconsistent access to those tools. Many of her abilities are one-offs and can be hard to get to. She has low offense, and some might argue with this point. It's not the biggest weakness because of her utility makes up for it in my opinion, but don't try to use her as an offensive juggernaut. Worse, depending on the situation, her tools can seem unnecessary or underwhelming without the right cards. Ariel works well with almost any other character. Her utility and healing are unique and can be utilized by the entire cast. Still, if you're looking for characters to pair her with, I'd start with Ariel, Demona, Maleficent. A team like this has to be played just right. Demona and Maleficent can spread out the damage with the intention of KOing multiple people on the same turn. Ariel would support them with her healing to keep them healthy. In this situation, Ariel's a jack of all trades who's lying in wait to counter the opponent's actions. On a side note, I truly believe that Ariel and Demona are generally a good duo who complement each other's strengths and weaknesses. Demona likes to use lots of cards and does damage to her own team, but Ariel can mitigate both of those issues. The thing to watch out for in this team is Gaston's massive damage swings. He can knock out Demona and Maleficent fairly easily with the right cards. Aladdin, Ariel, and Gaston. Each member has a specific role on this team. Gaston is the offense and the center of attention. Aladdin will stealthily move around and take cards from the opponent, giving them fewer options to deal with Gaston. Ariel will heal whoever needs it most, usually Gaston, and sustain momentum by drawing cards. She'll also counter any large strategies that the opponent has schemed up. Another benefit is that if you place Ariel before Gaston in the turn order, you can utilize Dig for Thingamabobs to possibly predict Gaston's boast. So that's our breakdown of Ariel. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to stick around for our breakdown of the first expansion, Turning the Tide. Until then, who says that my dreams have to stay just my dreams? See you next time.